Hello everyone, welcome back. We've got another trade tree video here to discuss. This is an interesting one. It involves the Dustin Penner offer sheet and the Islanders acquiring two top four defensemen. We'll get to all that coming up right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here at the Internet Hockey Channel. Now, before we begin this video, don't forget to like this video and subscribe down below. Thank you for all your support. We'd never be able to without you guys. So if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe button down below. Don't forget to comment down in the comment section below so you can also listen to these videos. So in today's video, we've got another trade tree video here to discuss. It's another interesting one. When this trade tree caught my eye, I was actually quite surprised by it. So it's a very interesting trade tree, and it's not an overly long one, so this shouldn't be an overly long video, but it has significant implications to the Islanders decor, both a couple of years ago and now. So we'll get to all the details of this trade tree. So the trade tree starts with this trade. It was, I think, a draft day deal back in the 2007 or 2008 draft. That was an interesting one. The Edmonton Oilers moved the 2008 second round pick, number 53 overall, to the New York Islanders in exchange for a 2008 third round pick, number 73rd overall, and prospect Alan Rourke. For the Oilers, this was a must-need move, because that third round pick was originally their own, and they needed that third round pick to offer sheet Dustin Penner, because they had to give up a first, second, and third round pick in the 2008 draft, and they didn't have their third round pick. So this move was basically for them acquiring Dustin Penner. So it's an interesting move. So we'll look at the Oilers side because it's a very short list here. For the Oilers, they got Alan Rourke. He was a young prospect who looked like he might eventually be a solid bottom six forward there. He wound up not making the team out of training camp the year after he was acquired. He got a couple of call-up options, never really fit in Edmonton, and a year later his contract was up. He wasn't brought back, and he went overseas to play in the German league, or was the Swiss league or something like that. So he didn't really pan out for the Edmonton Oilers, and he never really amounted to anything. That third round pick in 2008 was dealt as a part of, like we said, their offer sheet, a first, a second, and a third round pick. They gave it to Anaheim in exchange for getting Dustin Penner. Now, because it was an offer sheet, I'm not going to put Penner as part of a trade tree here. If you were to put it though, there's not really much that came out of it. For Penner, they got three pieces a couple of years down the road when they traded him. He spent, I think, 4 seasons in Edmonton. In the 4th season, he was dealt at a trade deadline to the LA Kings for 3 pieces. That was prospect Colton Tobert, as well as a first round pick in 2011 and a conditional third round pick in 2012. The Oilers did acquire all 3 of those things. Tobert never really fit in overly well, and I think after he was acquired, he went overseas and never really panned out for the Edmonton Oilers. Zarkov was a KHL prospect and never came over to North America except for playing in juniors, so Zarkov never really amounted to anything. The 2011 pick was Oscar Klefbom. That was probably the best piece they got in the Dustin Penner deal. He spent, I think, 7 or 8 years in the Edmonton Oilers organization. Really worked out well, helped them during that first run with Connor McDavid in the playoffs. Was a really good player, but I think it was back 3, 4, 5 years ago now, suffered a season-ending injury that wound up being a career-ending injury, and he never wound up getting traded to anywhere or anything. So Klefbom made his debut as an Oiler, and he retired an Oiler. So basically interesting stuff there. But for Klefbom, that was the extent of his time in Edmonton. So for Edmonton, they acquired the 3rd round pick to offer sheet Dustin Penner, got 3.5 years out of Penner. Then they moved him to LA for a prospect that never really worked out, a draft pick that turned to a prospect that never worked out, and a draft pick that turned to a solid D player that eventually wound up suffering a career-ending injury. So some interesting notes there. But for the Oilers, that side of the branch is done. They get a prospect who never really worked out well, and while they do get some good years out of Penner and out of Klefbom, they're never really amounted to anything on the Oilers side of things. But for the Islanders side of things, it looked fantastic. The second round pick, number 53 overall in the 2008 draft, was used to select a solid player in Travis Hamonic. Hamonic was a fantastic player for multiple years in NYI. He made his debut in the 2010-2011 season and spent 6 years in the Islanders organization. Some of his better years came first as a rookie and in his second year, and also in the 2014-2015 season when he had a career-high 33 points. He was never really a good offensive defenseman, but was a solid second, first pair defensive defenseman and always worked really well. The Islanders, after the 2016-17 season, never really saw that they were getting anywhere with Hamonic, and there was a lot of speculation that he was getting moved, and he did get moved, and the trade was as follows. Hamonic plus their 2019 4th round pick, number 110 overall, were dealt to the Calgary Flames in exchange for 3 draft selections, a 2018 first round pick, a 2018 second round pick, and a 2019 second round pick. So 3 pieces from the Hamonic deal. Now, the interesting pieces that all these 3 players are currently under contract for the New York Islanders, or were drafted and are still in the New York Islanders organization. The first one we'll get to is the 2018 second round pick. They kept it. It was number 43 overall that year. year, and they used it to select prospect Ruslan Iskakov. Iskakov has, I think, only played a handful of NHL games. He's been mostly an NHL player. I think he has not signed a new deal yet. I think he's still an unsigned prospect. So Iskakov has had some AHL experience. I'm not sure if he's a UFA or if he's just an RFA who hasn't been signed yet. So Iskakov, I think, might still be in the organization, and I think eventually could still be a top 9 forward if he's still there. So that could be a really good pickup there for the Islanders, but they get a solid young prospect in Iskakov. The 2019 second round pick wound up being number 57 overall, and they used that pick to select Samuel Bolduc. Bolduc, while he hasn't had much playing time this year, has had some NHL playing time over the past couple of years, has been a solid third pair, 6th, 7th defenseman over the past little while. He has gone past in the depth charts this year, but Bolduc still looks like he could eventually be a solid third pair defenseman for the Islanders, so that was a really good pickup there for the Islanders. But the big piece of that trade was the 2018 first round pick. That wound up being 12th overall. The Islanders used that pick to select Noah Dobson. Dobson has been a phenomenal top pair offensive defenseman for the New York Islanders for the past couple of seasons. Dobson is currently in the final year of a 3-year bridge deal, but last year had a phenomenal season, putting up 70 points in 79 games. So it was nearly a point per game defenseman, and for our Islanders team that doesn't get very much offense, he looked phenomenal. He's also had a 49-point season, a 51-point season the 2 years prior, currently has 18 points in 33 games this year, and he's looking like a fantastic defenseman. I'm sure the Islanders will get him signed eventually, and he'll be a long-time New York Islanders defenseman. So all in all, if you look back at this trade tree, it was an interesting one. It was a deal that I think was initiated by the Oilers, given the fact they needed that 3rd round pick to go after Dustin Penner. So they got that 3rd round pick, used it as draft compensation along with their 2nd and 1st round pick that year to go after Penner. It never really panned out. Penner spent a couple of years in Edmonton before he was dealt. The return, they got Clefbaum, who spent his whole career in Edmonton before he suffered a career-ending injury. Rourke never really panned out for the Oilers. But for the Islanders, they got Travis Hamonic, who for a long period of time was a solid top 4 defenseman. Then dealt Hamonic and a 4th round pick to Calgary for 3 draft picks, and one of those draft picks turned out to be Noah Dobson, who ever since that Hamonic trade has been a solid top 4 defenseman. So basically the Islanders have gotten one solid top 4 defenseman over the past, I don't know, 10-15 seasons, because they wound up helping the Edmonton Oilers use the offer sheet for Dustin Penner. So this is an interesting trade tree. It's not a big one, it's not a long one, it's not a flashy one, but it is a lopsided one, because I think the Islanders made out a lot better in this trade because they got Hamonic and Dobson than the Edmonton Oilers did. And I know that Clefbaum and Penner were really good players, but I still think that the Islanders do make out with the winner tag here on this trade tree. So definitely, I'll have your guys' thoughts on this trade tree down in the comment section below. Do you agree with me? Was this a complete win for the New York Islanders on this trade tree? Or do you think the Oilers wound up winning this trade tree with how they got all of this stuff? Definitely, I'll have your guys' thoughts on all of that down in the comment section below, and who you think won this deal. And do you think the Islanders are still reaping the benefits of this deal a long time after this trade happened? Definitely, let me get thoughts on all of that down in the comment section below. That's all I want to talk about for today. Until this video, if you'd like to subscribe below, thank all your support. We're going to without you guys. So if you haven't already, don't forget the subscribe button down below. Don't forget to comment down in the comment section below. Something I'll discuss in today's video. Also, a blog, comment, news, rumors, analysis. So if that's going to check that out, I'll link down in the description below. And kind of see you guys all for next video. See you guys soon.